All right, Pac Manias. This is the last page of the lesson, and these problems are pretty involved. I'm gonna do my best to kind of step through them. Just keep in mind there's multiple steps. Don't let that get in your way. Okay. So let's take a look at the first one. I got my handy chart here. Maria put trim around a banner that is the shape of a triangle. So something you might want to do is draw that, just to get an idea. Okay, I've got a triangle here, okay? Each side is 22 inches long. So each side, so I've got a triangle with each side 22 inches long. So I'm gonna write 22, 22, and 22. Maria's got a half a foot of trim left over. So they went from inches to feet here, okay? And what was the length of the trim when she started? Okay, so that's my question. What's the length when she started? And it says, write your answer in yards. So they give me inches and feet, right? And then they say, what's the answer in yards? So you gotta ask yourself, what should I do first? Pause for a second, think about this, and then come back and see if we agree. Okay, so what we should probably do first, the one thing we know for sure is we've got a triangle and we've got an extra half a foot. So let's take the triangle first. I'm gonna get all these, gonna gather up all these inches, okay? So I've 22 times 3 inches. So my triangle equals 22 times 3. Well, what's 3 times 2? 6, and 3 times 2 is 6 again. So I get 66 inches right there. Okay. And then I have a half a foot. So what's a half a foot in inches? So you might know it already. Okay. If you don't, I'm going to take how many inches are in a foot? 12 inches, right? In a foot, and then I'm going to divide that by 2, right? To get half of it. Well, 12 divided by 2 is 6. All right, so I've got this, half a foot is 6 inches. Many of you probably already know that. And then I'm going to add these two together. 66 plus 6. 6 plus 6 is 12, right? Carry my 1, and I get 1 plus 6 is 7. So I got 72 inches here all together. Now, that's how much she started with. She started with 72 inches, but it says, give me the answer in yards. So how do I do that? Well, I look at my chart. I'm going to do it 2 ways. But if I look at my chart, right over here, I go to inches, and I go down, and for yards, it says 1/36. So I could take 72 and divide it by 36. And I got to decide, okay, well, how many 36s go in 72? Right? I'm going to guess, I mean, I look at this as a 3, and that's a 7, and so probably 2, or, you know, it won't be 3, that's 90, right? So it's got to be 2 or 1. So let's try 2 and see if that works. 36 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12, right? And 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So that's 2. The other way you could have done it is go from inches to feet. Take your 72 and divide it by 12, because there are 12 inches in a foot. So we're going to go from inches to feet. Look at your chart. From inch to foot is 1/12, right? So I divide by 12, and that's 6, right? Minus 72, so I get that as a 0, so I get 6 feet. Okay, and then if I want to go from feet, then I go over to feet. Okay, to yards, it's 1/3. So I would take 6 and divide it by 3, which is also 2. All right, so I get 2 yards. So like I said, it's kind of involved. You got to step by step put these things together. All right, this one's just kind of an outlier. It's a weird one for what we've been doing, but it says Dan owns 9 DVDs. Okay, his brother Mark, I'm gonna draw a line right there. His brother Mark has 3 more DVDs than Dan has. Right, and then their sister Marsha's got more DVDs than either of her brothers. And together they've got 35 DVDs. So we got Dan with 9, Mark with 3 more than Dan. And then Marsha, she got more than anyone. And altogether they've got 35 DVDs. How many DVDs does Marsha have? That's my question. So you gotta think, what do you know? So let's pull out what we know. We know that Dan, how many does Dan have? 9. So I'm gonna write Dan is D equals 9. Okay. Mark has 3 more than Dan, right? So how many is that? Well, Mark equals 9 plus 3, which equals 12 DVDs. And we got to figure out how many Marsha has. That's our question mark. Okay. So they have 35 altogether. How can I find out how many Marsha has? So pause and think about that for a second. Okay, if you're coming back, we want to find the difference between 35 and what Mark and Dan have. So Mark and Dan together, this is 12 plus 9, right? What's 12 plus 9? 9 plus 2 is 11, right? Carry my 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. They've got 21 DVDs between them. They've got 35 total. How am I going to find this out? How much does Marsha have? So I'm going to find the difference. What kind of problem is that? Subtraction, right? So I'm going to take the 35 total, okay, and I'm going to subtract the 21 that the brothers have. What's 5 minus 1? 4. 3 minus 2? 1. So Marsha's got 14. Okay, Marsha has 14. So look, just step by step by step, tease out what does the problem tell you and how can I work with those numbers. All right, Kevin is making a picture frame. All right, big Kevin, huh? Making a picture frame. He has a piece of trim that is 4 feet long. How many 14-inch long pieces? So I'm gonna go, I've got 4 feet and I wanna find out how many 14-inch long pieces can Kevin cut from the trim. So if I wanna go, I'm gonna go from what to what here? Feet to inches, right? So how many feet do I have? 4 feet. And if I want to go to inches from feet, if I look at my chart, inches, or I'm sorry, feet to inches, 1 foot is 12 inches. So I'm going to multiply times 12 equals 48 inches total. All right, now think about this. You've got this 48-inch long piece of trim, one big long piece of trim, and he's going to cut off 14-inch pieces. And they want to know how many times can you do that? If I'm taking off something repeatedly, if I'm repeatedly subtracting, what's that? Division. So I'm going to take 48 and I'm going to divide it by 14. Okay, so what's a good guess here? I've got a 1 and a 4. Let's try 4 to start with. Let's see if we can get 4 pieces. So I'm going to go over here. 14 times 4. What's 4 times 4? 16. Good. 4 times 1 is 4 plus the 1 is 5. That's 56. So, nope, he did not get 4 pieces. But we know that it's got to be 3, right? Let's try it 3. 14 times 3. 3 times 4? 12. Carry my 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. We get 42. Okay. So this is going to be 3 feet. And my remainder is 6. 6 inches. Okay. So how many 14-inch long pieces is he going to get? He's going to get 3, 14. Maybe I should write that. 3 14-inch long pieces. Okay, and it says how much of a foot will he have left over, right? So I've got 6. If I want to go from, I've got 6 inches, but they want it in a foot. So if I go from inches to feet, I divide by 12, right? Probably many of you already know this is a half of a foot, right? So left over is 6 divided by 12. Well, that doesn't seem to work very well for me, right? Which is the same as 6 divided by 12 of a foot. And can I reduce this? Yes, I can. I divide it by 6/6, and I get 1/2 of a foot. Lots of different ways to do this and to look at this. I mean, for me, if you were to answer this as I'd be happy with 3 feet 6 inches would be good. You should probably know that 6 inches is 1/2 a foot. They don't often give you 1/2 a foot or 1/4 of a foot or something like that. All right, last little part coming up.